Hello students, today we are going to discuss about kingdom Protista. Kingdom Protista includes single cell eukaryotes. Okay, so this whole kingdom will have a single cell eukaryotic organisms. Okay, and will have well defined nucleus and other membrane bound organelles. As I told you, it is eukaryotic, that's why will have a well defined nucleus and also having membrane bound organelles. Okay, and some will have flagella. Here you can see the flagella. Okay, and maybe they have cilia. In this diagram also, this is a microscopic view of this organism, and here you can see this is a transparent type of a flagella. Here in this diagram you can observe. Okay, there is this type of flagella they will have. Next characteristic of kingdom Protista member of organism is the protists are primarily aquatic, means mostly they are aquatic. It is linked with plant, animal and fungi. Here you can see, okay, they will link with the, this is the Protista, okay, and they may link with the animals, even with the plants and even with the fungi. Okay, so they have interlink with the plant, animal and fungi. This is a very important characteristic of any Protista organism, and they will reproduce asexually as well as sexually. Okay, they will do cell fusion and zygote formation. Okay, and they can reproduce by both the means of reproduction, asexually as well as sexually. So broadly, this kingdom can be classified into 5 groups. Here you can see. Okay, so let me discuss one by one. Okay, so Protista can be divided into 5 groups or classified into 5 groups. First is the chrysophytes. Okay, then dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds and protozoans. We will discuss one by one in this lecture. So first of all, let me discuss about chrysophytes. Okay, that is a member of a Protista kingdom. Okay, and they will found in a fresh water and a marine water or a marine environment. Then what are the chrysophytes characteristic? These are the characteristic of any chrysophytes. It will found in the fresh water and a marine environment, microscopic, and it will float passively in water currents, and they are called planktons. Okay, and most of them are photosynthetic. Okay, they will do the photosynthesis, and it include diatoms. Here you can see the diatoms. Okay, then they will show you golden algae. This is the golden algae, and they will look like this. Okay, in the marine water. And then here you can see very beautiful structures of a desmids. These are the desmids. This is also called golden algae. So first of all, from chrysophyte, let me discuss about diatoms in detail. So they have siliceous cell wall. Okay, the cell wall which is made up of silica-like structure and forming two thin overlapping shells, okay, surrounding them, which fit together as in the soap box. Okay, this is a very important characteristic of any diatoms. They will have siliceous cell wall. Okay, then they may be made up of silica-like structure and forming two thin overlapping cells, okay, which fit together as in the soap box. And diatoms are the chief producer, means they will do photosynthesis. That's why they are considered as a chief producer in the ocean. Here in this slide, you can see the very important information about the diatoms. Diatoms produce between 20 to 25% of oxygen which we breathe on the earth. Okay, so this is playing very important role as an oxygen provider on the earth. The cell wall deposit of diatoms over billions of years in their habitat is known as a diatomaceous earth. Okay, and this is used in the polishing. Okay, sometimes it is used as a polishing, even for the filtration, as it is very useful in the filtration, and even they are used for the filtration of oils and syrups. Here in this slide, you can see some more applications of diatoms. They may be used as a biofuel. We can produce bioethanol, biodiesel from the diatoms. Bioremediation. It will be very useful for the bioremediation of industrial waste, anthropogenic waste, agricultural waste. Okay, and then we can produce the value-added products also by using diatoms, omega-3 fatty acids, aqua feeds, pharmaceutical. So by this we can say diatoms are very important for the human consumption. Next member of a kingdom Protista is a dinoflagellate. Okay, and mostly they are marine and photosynthetic. They also do photosynthesis. They appear yellow, green, brown, blue or red depending on the main pigment in the cell. So these organisms will have pigments. As a result of that, due to presence of a pigment, they will name after that. They will have yellow, green, brown, blue and red depending on the main pigment on the cell. Okay, and cell wall has a stiff cellulose plate. This is very important here to note. Okay, the cell wall will have stiff cellulose plates on the outer surface. And here in this diagram, why it is called dinoflagellate? Dino means two. Okay, flagella means the organism will have two flagella. Here you can see in the diagram. Okay, these organism having two flagella, and that's why they are considered as a dinoflagellates. So as I told you, most of them have a two flagella. Okay, one lies longitudinally and the other one will have transversely in a furrow between the wall plates. Here you can see. Okay, two flagella having this organism, and that's why it is called dinoflagellate. The one most important example is a red dinoflagellate, that is a goniolox. Okay, the example is a goniolox, which will undergo rapid multiplication so that the sea appear red. Here you can see a red tide will be shown. Okay, here very clearly you can observe a red dinoflagellate, which is the example is a goniolox. Okay, and undergo rapid multiplication so that the sea appear red. Okay, so you will observe a red tides and they will release some toxins and they may kill to marine animal like fishes. So they may be cause harmful. Okay, means they will produce some toxins, they will kill the marine animal like a fishes. Third member of a protista is the euglenoids. Okay, so they will mainly present in the freshwater organism. They are mainly freshwater organisms found in the stagnant water. Okay, it is not found in the running water. They will found in the stagnant water. Okay, and instead of a cell wall, they will have protein-rich layer. Okay, so this is very unique feature or unique characteristic. Instead of a cell wall, they will have protein-rich layer, and that is called pellicle. Okay, and it gives flexibility to the body. Here you can see how they are flexible and then how they can motile. Okay, so this is just due to the protein-rich layer and a pellicle outside the body. It gives flexibility to the body. They have two flagella. Okay, and one is a short and one is a long one. So here in this diagram, you can see this is the long flagellum. Okay, in the euglena, and this is the short flagellum. Here it is indicated this is the short flagellum, and the outermost layer is a pellicle. Euglenoids are a photosynthetic in the presence of sunlight, and in the absence of sunlight they will behave like a heterotrophs. So euglenoid are the organism which will behave like autotrophs also and heterotrophs also, depend on the condition or depend on the presence or absence of a sunlight, and by predating on other organism, and the pigment are identical to those of higher plants. Okay, as it is very important for the photosynthesis, pigment presentation is very important. Okay, because pigments are the responsible chemicals which are responsible for the photosynthesis. That's why they will possess some identical pigment which are also present in the higher plants. Okay, and for example, euglena. Here you can see the structure of euglena. They will have a flagella. Okay, and one stigma is also present over here. Okay, this is the nucleus, nucleolus. Because it is a eukaryotic organism, they will also have nucleus and nucleolus. Then here you can see the structure of a chloroplast. Okay, then outermost is a pellicle. Okay, and here you can see contracted vacuole. Next member of a kingdom Protista is a slime molds. Okay, and they are a saprophytic protists. That means they will live upon the dead materials. Okay, and that's why they are calling as a saprophytic protist. The body moves along decaying twigs. Okay, so here you can see. Okay, this is a twig. That is a decaying twig. Okay, so this is the parts of the slime molds. Okay, this is the structure of the slime molds, and you can see they will cover this twig. Okay, and that's why it is written here. Body moves along the decaying twigs, and leaves engulfing organic material. Here also you can see some decaying twigs. Okay, and they will engulf the organic material. Okay, and under suitable condition they form aggregation, and that is called plasmodium. Okay, so this is the aggregated form that is called plasmodium. It may spread all over the several feet. Okay, sometime it will be spreaded all over the several feet. Under unfavorable condition, plasmodium differentiate and form fruiting bodies. Here you can see the fruiting bodies. Okay, and they will show some bearing of a spores at their tip. Okay, this is the fruiting body, and this is the tip of a fruiting body in which some spores will be found, and these situation occur during the unfavorable condition. Okay, and spores have true walls. Okay, then these spores may contain true walls. They are highly resistant and survive for the many years because it is an unfavorable condition. They will resist the situation or a condition, and they will survive for many years after forming such a fruiting body and spores. Okay, and spores will, after the favorable condition appears, spores will disperse by the air current and they will be regrow. Okay, so this is a life cycle of a slime molds. Okay, so they will show some gamete formation, then this gamete will be fertilized. Okay, fertilization occur, then zygote formation, then they will show you a plasmodium structure, and then they will show you fruiting body during the adverse condition or unfavorable condition. And when they get some favorable condition, at that time the spore formation will be released, and due to meiosis this haploid spore will be produced. Okay, and then this haploid spore, when get favorable condition, it will be form gametes, and further life cycle will be continued. Next member of a kingdom Protista is a protozoans. Okay, so they are a totally heterotroph organism. They may include predators and parasites, and they are considered as a close relative of an animal. That means primitive relatives of animals. And we can divide the protozoans into four main groups. Okay, depend on the organisms or a characteristic found in this type of organisms. So first is the amoeboid type of protozoans, then flagellated protozoan, which consider as a flagellated because of presence of a flagella, ciliated protozoan, which will have a cilia, okay, and then sporozoan, which show the sporulation. So now let me start with the amoeboid protozoan. Okay, so they will live in fresh water, sea water, and even in the moist soil. Okay, and they move and capture prey. Here you can see they will move and capture prey by using pseudopodia. Okay, that is also called false feet, and the example is a amoeba. Okay, and sometime if it is a marine form, then they will have silica shell on their surface. Okay, and some are a parasite. This parasite is a human parasite. For example, ant amoeba. That is a causative agent for the amoebiasis in human. Okay, so now let me try to understand about amoebiasis, which is caused by ant amoeba histolytica. So first of all, this ant amoeba will be ingested in the form of a mature cyst. Okay, and they will reach up to the small bowel where egg sustainment will be occur, and as a result of that they will release and they will now convert into strophozoite, and then it will reach up to the colon. Okay, where they will cause the ulcer, and that is called amoebiasis. Okay, so we will learn in detail about this disease in standard 12. Next member of a protozoan is a flagellated protozoan. Okay, they are a free living or a parasitic. Okay, they may be living free or a parasitic in the human. They have a flagella. Here you can see the flagella, long flagella found in the trypanosoma, and parasitic form may be cause disease like sleeping sickness. So here you can see this is a trypanosoma. Okay, and they may cause a sleeping sickness disease, and this is the fly which may bite to the human. Okay, this is a tsetse fly. Here name is written tsetse fly. If this tsetse fly is bitten, okay, to the human, then sleeping sickness name disease may occur because these fly may have trypanosoma in their saliva. Next member of a protozoan is a ciliated protozoan. Okay, mostly they are aquatic, actively move using cilia. Here you can see they will actively move surrounded by the cilia. That's why they can actively move by using cilia. The whole body is covered with the cilia, very tiny hair-like structure surrounding the organism, and that's why they can actively move using the cilia. Okay, inside the aquatic region. They have a cavity. Here you can see in this diagram. Okay, this is the cavity and it is called gullet. Okay, that open to the outside. Due to the movement of a cilia, water with a food enter into the gullet. For example, paramecium. So this is the example of a paramecium. Next member of a protozoan is a sporozoans. Okay, they have an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle, and for example, we can say, take it as an example is a plasmodium, that is a malarial parasite and it causes malaria. So here you can see number of a plasmodium. Here you can see type of a plasmodium. That is a Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium malariae, okay, and Plasmodium ovale. Okay, so if Anopheles mosquito bite to the human, at that time they will release some number of a organism or a plasmodium inside the blood of a human. Okay, that's why they will cause the malaria. So this is your homework for today's lecture, and before we finish this lecture, let me summarize whole topic by using one animation video. So look at this video.
All unicellular eukaryotes come under kingdom Protista. Members of the kingdom Protista are primarily aquatic. Chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds, and protozoans are few categories of protists. Since they are all eukaryotes, they contain a well-defined nucleus and other membranous organelles. Some protists also have either a flagellum or a coelom. They reproduce both asexually through cell fusion and sexually via zygote formation. Chrysophytes include diatoms and golden algae or desmids. They are microscopic and float in great numbers in both freshwater and saline water. Also, they are mostly photosynthetic. Diatoms are known as chief producers in the oceans. Diatom cell walls are embedded with silica, making them indestructible. Diatoms therefore manage to leave behind a large amount of their cell wall deposits in their habitats. These fossilized remains of diatoms form diatomaceous earth. It can be put to various uses like polishing and filtration of oils and syrups. Dinoflagellates are colorful protists found both in marine and freshwater. Depending on the main pigments in their cells, they are yellow, green, brown, blue, or red. Sometimes, when a red dinoflagellate multiplies rapidly in the sea, it makes the sea appear red. This red tide phenomenon is known to be harmful, as the toxins so released can kill other marine animals such as fish. Dinoflagellates usually have two flagella, longitudinal flagella and transverse flagella. Their names indicate how both the flagella are positioned. Euglenoids too, like dinoflagellates, have two flagella, one short and the other a long one. Instead of a cell wall, euglenoids have a protein-rich layer called pellicle that makes their bodies flexible. Euglenoids are phototrophic autotrophs in the presence of sunlight, since they also have chloroplasts, like plants. However, they behave as heterotrophs in the absence of sunlight. Slime molds are saprophytic protists, that is, they live on dead organic matter. They form a huge aggregation called plasmodium. However, during unfavorable conditions, this plasmodium differentiates and forms spores that possess true walls. These spores are so resistant that they can survive for years under adverse conditions. Protozoans are protists that are believed to be primitive relatives of animals. Did you know that the word protozoans means the first animals? All protozoans are heterotrophs and live as predators or parasites. They can be classified into four types: amoeboid protozoans, flagellated protozoans, ciliated protozoans, and sporozoans. Out of these, amoeboid protozoans are found in freshwater, marine water, as well as moist soils. They use false feet called pseudopodia to move and capture their prey. Some amoeboids, like entamoeba, are parasites. Flagellated protozoans, as the name suggests, have flagella. They can be either free-living or parasitic. Some parasites like trypanosoma can also cause diseases like sleeping sickness. Ciliated protozoans like Paramecium can be found at almost all places where there is water. They are very active since they possess thousands of cilia. It is the coordinated movement of these cilia that steers the water containing their food into their gullet. The gullet is a cavity that opens to the outside of the cell surface. Lastly, sporozoans are organisms that have an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle. Plasmodium is the most famous sporozoan. It causes malaria in humans and is also known as the malaria parasite.
In next lecture, we will learn about kingdom fungi. So till that, goodbye.